Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Lionsgate Podcast with Sahdi and Omni. I'm Omni.
And I'm Sahdi.
And today's episode is all about manifestation. We're going to go over what manifestation is, a crystal grid ritual. I'm going to go over some scientific facts to do with manifestation. And we're going to go over techniques first. And then we're going to get into the nitty gritty on how to manifest. So if you listen to this whole episode, you will know what you need to do to prepare to manifest, and you will know what you need to do to actually manifest whatever you want. I'm super excited about this episode. Sahdi's super excited. But first, if you have any questions for us, feel free to email us the old-fashioned way at sahdiandomni@gmail.com. That's SAHDIANDOMNI@gmail.com. Hit us up on our Facebook page. It's Lionsgate Podcast with Sahdi and Omni. Or you can check us out on TikTok, where we'll do highlighted TikToks on what we talk about in these episodes. And that's at Sahdi and Omni. All right. So what is manifestation? Definition refers to the process of bringing your thoughts, beliefs, and intentions into physical reality. It is based on the idea that our thoughts and emotions create a vibrational frequency that can attract or repel certain experiences, people, and circumstances in our lives. By focusing our thoughts and emotions on positive outcomes, we can attract more of what we want and less of what we don't need, which is a law of attraction. Before we get started, we wanted to talk about what you need to do to kind of prepare yourself and get in the right mindset to manifest.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because a lot of people nowadays, they throw the word manifestation around all the time, but a lot of people don't really understand exactly what it means and the work that goes into it to prepare yourself
to actually get there and manifest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's some things that you need to do. And I feel like the first thing you need to do is you need to believe that you can have anything that you want. You have to honestly feel it in your soul, feel it in your body, in your mind, that you can achieve anything that you want. You can have anything you want, regardless of your circumstances right now.
Yeah, that's exactly, because I know I struggle with that to this day sometimes. And I know there's instances where I look back and I'm like, wow, that was manifestation. And I didn't even realize it. When I was in grade school, this composer came in with a chorus that he was directing, and I was not paying attention. Thousands of grade schoolers was not paying attention to what he was directing us. And he was showing us how when he moves his hands certain ways, it directs his chorus on how to sing high or low. And I just noticed all of a sudden he's like, who wants to come up here? Everybody raised their hand, and I snapped to attention and I raised my hand and I looked at him and was like, he's going to pick me. And I believed it. And it was different from when you have this intuitive feeling or you have this like premonition. It was just like, I shot this power from my head to him, like, you're going to pick me. And he did. And then I made a fool of myself, because as soon as I went up there, I waved my hands everywhere because I was not listening to the instructions. I just knew I wanted to be picked.
Right. But you sent that energy out into the universe. You want to be picked, and you do. And it happens with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're manifesting all of the time. Everything we're doing, every word that we speak, every action that we have within us, we are manifesting, whether it's for the good of our consciousness and our life or for the negative of that.
Exactly. We talked about words in a past episode, how words matter, and you should never be like, oh, I'm an idiot. Don't say that about yourself.
Right.
Because you're manifesting bad things for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like we're continuously manifesting every minute of the day, whether we're doing it consciously or subconsciously. So when we talk about the law of attraction and manifestation, we're teaching ourselves how to do that consciously to get the results that we want.
Yeah.
So believing yourself, part of it is unprogramming yourself to all of those thoughts that you have that you can't do something.
Yeah.
You might have been raised with people that told you, okay, you have to live your life this certain way. You have to go to school. You have to, complete these college courses, or you're never going to amount to anything. And I know that I was that way. When I was raised, I know that my father meant well, but he told me that, you have to go to college, you have to make good grades, you have to have some kind of degree, or you're never going to be anything.
Yep.
So when I didn't go to college, I believed that I was not worthy
Mm-hmm.
of anything, that I could never own a business because I don't have time to go to school for 4 years to be able to do that. It wasn't until I had an awakening, I realized what my passion was, and I believed in myself.
Yeah.
And I believed that I could have that. And I started my own business,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I had to retrain my brain to believe in myself and
I can do that.
unprogram the thoughts of other people and the
Mhm.
things that were instilled in me.
Same thing. I went to college for a year for art, and I went there, and in my head, I was like, I'll never make a living at this.
Mhm.
Or like, if I do make a living at this, I could do this without.
Right. It has
School.
struggling artist.
Yes,
or,
exactly.
Attached to it.
And it's one thing, like you've mentioned before, like if you want to be a doctor or whatever, yes, go to school. We're not shaming school. However, you don't have to. I own 2 businesses that were successful.
Right.
I never went to school.
And the business that I own now, I couldn't have found the training for that
Mhm.
in college and
Yeah.
school. You know, that came from a different type of education.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
you know, not everybody's on the same path.
Yeah, and just because you're not successful on paper, you're not a lawyer somewhere,
Mhm.
doesn't mean you're not successful in life.
And like, I just want everybody listening to know that it doesn't matter where you are in this lifetime, where you're struggling, where you're lacking, that if you start to believe in yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you believe that you deserve it, then you will get what you want
Yes.
out of this life.
Yes.
You know, so don't let anybody tell you any different. You might have to take yourself away from, say you're living with your parents. You might have to figure out a way to move out of your parents' house, get yourself away from that energy. Or if it's your social circle,
Mm-hmm.
or if you have friends that are not supportive, or you're in a relationship that isn't supportive of your dreams and your goals
Mm-hmm.
and what you want to manifest in your life, then you need to remove yourself from that.
That's so
And
important.
so that is a hard part for a lot of
Mhm.
people, is to get yourself out of the mentality.
No.
Get yourself out from around the people that have that type of mentality.
And if you need to remove yourself, like stop talking to maybe your mom that's really low vibrational, Debbie Downer, or doesn't believe in you for whatever reason.
All right. Or if every time you tell her,
Yeah.
this is what I want to do, she has a million reasons on why you can't.
Yeah. Remove yourself from her for a month
Mm-hmm.
so that you can really focus in on this.
Right.
And then it doesn't have to be forever. However, when you realize how powerful you are, either they're going to see that, hey, you know what, I did do it, and they'll change their attitude, or you're going to realize how much better life is without them.
Right. And that includes your friendships as well. So if you have a lot of friends that are low vibrational and they're petty and they're unsupportive, they're ungrateful, and the friends that are always unhappy and they have that victim mentality
Yes.
about them, that energy will affect you.
Mm-hmm.
And that will affect your manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we get to a point where, in order for us to believe in ourselves,
Mhm.
it's at by any means necessary,
Yeah.
which means that I have to do everything in my power to get me to where I want to be so I can be happy.
Yep.
And a lot of times that's the first step, is removing yourself from the people that aren't good for your goals.
That makes a lot of sense if you go into socialite clubs or whatever. But if you get yourself into a community of people that all have the same goals as you, it's motivation to each other. I was explaining, one of my friends has been just killing it, manifesting left and right, even though they have struggles in their personal life. I won't get too far into it. I look at them and I'm like, you're killing it despite having those people in your life. But God, if you cut them out, you would be unstoppable.
Right. And that is a hard one. I mean, it's easy for us to just sit here and say, cut off your parents, cut off your significant other. And that's easier said than done sometimes. But like I said before,
Yeah.
this is your life.
Yeah.
This is your future.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be happy and you want to be successful, there's some things that you have to sacrifice and you have to let go of.
Yeah.
Anything that's not serving your highest good. And like you said, you don't have to do it forever, but you can take breaks.
Yeah.
And then see how you feel and assess it in 30 days or 90 days or whatever the case may be.
You could have an honest conversation too. Let's take a step back. You could look at, and we're just using mom as an example. Look at your mom and be like, look, these are my goals. This is what I want. And I need your support. And if she doesn't respect that, then take the step back for 30 days or, you know, whatever, cut off your energy for just a little bit and work on yourself. you're allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's your purpose in life.
And then seek out other
Yeah.
like-minded people.
Exactly.
You don't have to completely just be alone
Yes.
if everybody in your life is, you know, low
Right.
vibrational and non-supportive. So say you do want to be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to some art classes or go to an art gallery or something like that. Start putting yourself in the vibration of the things that you want, even if you're not there yet.
We talked about different artists and how they seem to have this manifestation down and they're in this vibration. Well, then they all hang out with each other and then they have a party and then they all network. So if you don't have people in your circle that you're networking with to get you up that chain to get you to your goals. Like, we're not talking about being a lawyer. What if you want to be an artist? Like we were talking about, it doesn't need to be the president. It can be. You can do that, then manifest that. But get people in your circle to network with, and then you guys are literally charging each other up.
Right. It's not what you know, it's who you know sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Second step, before you even get started with manifesting, I think it needs to be grateful.
Yes.
You need to really harness the power of gratitude. And even if you're in a cardboard box and you are homeless right now, you better be thankful for that cardboard box, you know, because the universe isn't going to give you anything if you're not a grateful person.
Yeah.
They're going to pass you by in a heartbeat. If you're not in the vibration of gratitude, most of the time, you're going to get overlooked with a lot of things. And the universe isn't going to be really quick to give you anything. So there's the story that I really like, and it's about twins. So 2 identical twins are born to a really nice family. And every year they spend the exact same amount on them on Christmas, and all of their presents exactly the same amount, the same toys, same amount, everything. And one of the babies, we'll call him twin number 1, is always so grateful for everything he gets. He's like, Mom, Dad, thank you. And he's so excited, and he plays with all of his toys, and he takes really good care of his toys, and he's grateful for it. It's not fake. It's not rehearsed. It's real. And then twin number 2 gets the toy, and he's like, I didn't want a blue car. I wanted a red car.
Brat.
You know, and he's like, you know, doesn't take care of his toys, and he breaks them, and he just isn't grateful for anything that he has. He always wants more, or he's like, well, that's not exactly what I wanted. And he has no gratitude at all. When these 2 identical, I mean, they look the same on the outside, but on the inside, they're 2 completely different people with 2 completely different vibrations. And there's going to come a time when they both turn 16, and the dad and mom are going to be like, you know what? I'm not giving twin number 2 a car. He's probably just going to wreck it and not like it, not be appreciative of it. Let's just give twin 1 a new car, because twin 2 isn't even appreciative of the jet ski and the skateboard and the 3 bikes that he has in the garage. He hasn't been grateful for anything we've ever given him. We're not going to give him a car.
Yeah.
We're going to give it to twin 1. And of course, he's going to throw a fit about it and not be happy about it.
But he was going to throw a fit anyway, so why would you care?
Right. But I guarantee you, if he was to go in the garage and start taking care of his bike and his jet ski and all the things, and really start to show an appreciation for what he has, that his parents would
get him a car
eventually. And that's how it is with the universe. You can have 2 people that have the same education, or both 5s or 8s or 10s or whatever the fact. But it's the way you show gratitude for things. The universe isn't going to continue to give something to somebody that doesn't appreciate what they already have.
Right. I know, like, sometimes I'll sit there and I'll be like, oh, I have to work a double on this day. And it's really hard. Sometimes I complain about it. But then I literally stop and I'll be like, actually, you know, once upon a time, I worked 8 hours a week. This schedule enables me to spend the most time with my kids and helps me pay for the things I need to pay for at the same time. And it's a really unique schedule, and I'm actually really lucky to have it.
And if you keep complaining about it and not being grateful for what you have, something is going to happen where you're going to lose that schedule.
Yep.
Or you're going to lose that job, because that's the way it works.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let me take a step back and let me reflect. Okay, you know what? Actually, I have the perfect schedule for the parenting plan I have with my kids. It's perfect, actually.
Right.
And it is.
Grateful for that.
It really is.
Right.
And I'm so grateful for it. And then it changes your attitude towards it. Like, you don't go into work kind of crabby and like, I don't want to be here. You're like, yeah, you know what? Just get through this hump and I'm good. It's so crazy how much it changes your attitude in life and how much more good things come in. we've been talking about this episode for a few weeks now, just talking to friends about it. They've manifested stuff in their lives and come back and told us just in a few days.
When you're really trying to get in the frequency of gratitude, that's really all it takes is a few minutes every day to just kind of sit and go down the list of things that you are grateful for in your life. And if you have to write those down and say them back to yourselves. And some people don't have a lot to be grateful for. And what you really want to try to work towards is being grateful for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When a parking space is available, instead of just being like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got this parking space, and get excited about it and just feel grateful for that.
Right.
When something works out in your life, allow yourself to feel happy and grateful for it. And when something goes wrong in your life, try not to give it too much energy.
Yeah. I mean, acknowledge it, obviously. Like with my kids, when they get off the bus, they used to get in this habit to be like, I had a horrible day, because they would get attention from me. And I had a horrible day because this thing happened. Well, was it a horrible day because one thing happened?
Right.
So, but I would acknowledge as to tell me the bad thing. Okay. And we talk through it, let them process it, validate their feelings. All right. Now I want to hear 3 positive things that happened in your day. And that really prepares you mentally to not hang on to those negative feelings, because especially people who have really good memories will hang on to the bad stuff for some reason. And then if you hang on to that bad stuff, you're manifesting more bad stuff.
Like you can have 10 good things happen to you in a day and one bad thing, and you hang on to that bad thing and you let it ruin your day. And then you come home and you tell your spouse about it. And you tell your friends about it. You get on the phone with one of your friends. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe it's fucking happening to me today at work, blah, 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 or whatever. Somebody cut me off in traffic. I almost had an accident. And you run that and you run that and you run that every single time. You're giving it more and more power every time you tell the story, every time you run it around in your brain. Right. And the next day,
more of that coming
more of that's
you.
going to happen, because the universe is like, okay, well, I can see that that's what you're consciously thinking about. That's what you're talking about. That's what's on your mind all the time. So that must be what you want. Because the universe doesn't really know if it's good or bad, or if you want it, you don't want
energy.
It. They're picking up on the energy, right?
Universe has one language.
Right. And so it's picking up that you are upset about this one thing. So guess what? More of those things are going to keep happening to you over and over again.
Because you're giving your energy
and people
to
are just like, I don't know why all these bad things are going on in my life. This is going on. That's going on. This is going on with my family member. And then this is happening. And that's happening. And then every time it gets worse. You know, because they just keep getting more and more and more of that. But imagine if that same person didn't tell anybody about the one bad thing that happened to them. And they came home and they talked about the 5 or 6 good things that happened to them today. And they really switched their awareness and focused on that. And that would progress.
Get more.
Right. So you can manifest in reverse.
Yeah, you can.
You can speak things into existence.
It's okay to vent about it to your spouse when you get home one time and then let it go. If you cannot change it, let it go. That is like my mantra in life. But like you said, if you complain about it with your coworkers, complain about it with your spouse, and then retell the story 3 or 4 times throughout the day, guess what? Your day is going to get worse.
Exactly. Attention goes where the energy flows.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that what they say?
I've never heard that. Who are they? I like it.
Maybe I made it up, but I don't think so. I think somebody else did.
That was such a good saying. I don't know.
Switching your awareness, you know, and a lot of people will even validate the negative things going on in their lives. Like somebody will get up and they'll be like, oh man, I know I'm going to have a bad day at work. I have to see my boss. He's always cranky in the morning. He's going to give me a hard time, blah, 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 blah. And then they get to work and guess what? The boss is cranky, giving him a hard time. And then you get this attitude where you're like, oh, I knew it.
Yep.
And then it's almost like you're validating yourself for causing yourself to have a bad day.
Like a reward for being all knowing, right? That's what you say. Yeah.
So you want to try to stay away from that kind of behavior as well. Tell yourself that you're going to have a good day. And when good things happen to you, you say, I knew it. Validate yourself in the positive way.
And if something bad happens, move the fuck on. Life is short.
We go through things every once in a while where it's just like, whoa, this thing happened to me today. And you do need support system from your friends or from your partner. But when it's all the time, every single day, it's like this happened to me or that happened to me or I'm sick. That gets old. That is a negative mindset.
And that's an energy vampire.
Manifest
in that
great things for yourself with that kind of mentality.
Not in that energy.
So being grateful.
Yeah.
Breaks it all the way back down.
Our episode's
to that.
about vibrations. We had an episode about frequencies and vibrations. So if you feel like you are in that mindset, listen to that episode because we talk about how you can raise your vibration. If you're that person who complains all the time and you go to somebody and they give you advice and you're like, oh, okay. And then you don't take it. And then you come back to the person, complain about your life and they don't take, guess what? You're an energy vampire.
And I used to be that person.
I've been there. Yeah.
When I was in a really toxic marriage, I was working graveyard shift all the time, trying to be a good mom. I know I was a good person. I had a big heart.
Yeah.
But there was always something going on in my life. Like my car would break down or just some event. And it was like every single day.
Yep.
But that had become a part of who I was and a part of my life.
Yep.
And I remember this one time I worked graveyard and then there was a waitress that would come in the morning and every day she'd come in with a positive attitude. And this is before I knew about The Secret or about the law of attraction or any of it. She would come in every morning. She's like, hi, how was your night? And I'd be like, oh, it was good, but blah, 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 blah. And I would just start going down the list of things that happened at work that were all negative. And then I would tell her about the things that are going on at home that were all negative. And I didn't really realize what I was doing. And after about a year of her working with me, she was like, hey, can we talk for a minute? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, look, you are like the sweetest, nicest person that I've ever met. But I have to do this for myself. And I need to tell you that I can't be your friend. I cannot. Your life is too dramatic. You have something going on with you every single day.
Ouch.
I don't come into work and hear anything positive ever. And it's affecting me. And I was like,
yeah, that hurts my feelings. But that's
this bitch. What the fuck? Like I've never done anything bad to her. And I was so in my shit.
Yeah.
And unconscious of what I was doing that I got mad at her.
Yep. I was like, I'm proud of her,
And
but
I'm
also
just like,
I'm like, you're my friend and she hurt your
I
feelings.
wish I could like see her now and just be like, that was an awakening moment for me because I needed somebody to tell me that, or I would have just continued to do it. And it's really crazy because that was around the same time that somebody had brought up the fact, have you ever watched The Secret? Or have you ever read the book, The Secret? Have you ever heard of Law of Attraction?
The Secret is a movie and a book. So check it out. It's very important.
Because it wasn't just her that was noticing. It was probably other people around me that were noticing how negative I was. And trying to lead me in the right direction. And when I first started learning about it, I thought it was the stupidest thing that I had ever heard before in my life. I even started watching it and turned it off a couple times.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way that I just have to think positive.
Yep.
And it's going to change my whole life. Like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard before.
Yep.
But now when I meet people that were like me, that's the first thing I say. I'm like, hey, have you ever heard the law of attraction? Have you ever heard of The Secret?
The Secret.
Like, do you know how powerful your words are? And I start talking to them about things like that.
Yeah.
Because I've been there.
Yeah.
And I know.
Well, I feel like I'm a pretty positive person, but you get stuck in cycles that you need to be aware of too. Because
But I was a positive person too. It's not just about being positive.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I was like so happy with certain things that were going on in my life.
But then you would dump on people. To this day, sometimes I catch myself doing that. I'll get off work and I'll send voice clips to my friend about work. Tonight was just horrible because of this, this, and that. And I've caught myself doing that. And so I am like, okay, you know what? In this part of my life, I need to back that off.
Yeah, but sometimes you do have a bad day.
Yeah. No, but this was
have
consistent.
Oh, okay.
This was consistent.
Oh, okay.
This was, and I caught myself in it too. You know, you try to work on yourself. You're being more aware of stuff. And I've caught myself in it where I'm like, yeah, every time I'm messaging this person who's my friend, I'm dumping on them about work.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're workmates, but we work different shifts. And yes, talk about work sometimes. That's fine. But I was consistently after every shift messaging them. And I was like, oh, you know what? That is my friend. And I feel so bad.
Right.
Now, because you have to self-reflect sometimes. And I think that's a part of manifesting too, is taking a step back and reflecting on your actions throughout the week and then changing what doesn't line up.
And then it's just also being conscious of what you're saying. Like,
yes.
Take a mental note. Somebody told me one time to put like a rubber band on your wrist.
Oh, yeah.
And so every time you say something negative or think something negative, you switch it from one wrist to the other wrist.
Oh, I thought you snap yourself.
Or you can snap yourself. You can snap yourself and then switch wrists. So you're doing something physical that's reminding you that you're doing something negative.
That's
right.
a
And you can do
good
that anywhere. You could do it
technique.
while you're at work. You could do it while you're on the phone or
Yeah.
anytime. And you have a negative thought, just pop yourself and switch the bracelet.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of like mentally training you to be like, oh, there, I'm doing it again.
To be aware of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just aware. It's all about like baby steps in the beginning. So if you're just learning how to manifest, be patient with yourself. This doesn't happen overnight. And it's not like you're ever going to become a person that never thinks a negative thought again in their life, because that would be great. But it's not really realistic. You know what I mean?
It's okay to think negative thoughts and acknowledge and process them. And like our next episode, our big season finale is all about shadow work. And we'll get into that next episode, because there is stuff that you've thought negatively that you've pushed down or brushed off that you repress. And then it turns into something you have to really work on.
Oh, and the other thing that I really wanted to talk about, and it has to do with this, is stop speaking into existence the things that you don't want.
Yes.
Okay. So you need to start thinking and expressing what you do want.
Yes.
And speaking that into existence, because that is a big one.
Yeah.
So when people are like, I don't want to work at this job anymore. I don't want to be unhappy anymore. I don't want this, that, the other thing. The universe doesn't hear your words. It hears that you're consciously thinking about what you don't want over and over and over again. Right.
Yeah.
And so you need to put into existence what you do want. You imagine yourself being happy. You know, imagine yourself exactly where you want to be. Think about all the things that you do want. So that's a big one.
Yeah, because it is easy to fall in that, like, I don't like this, I don't want this, blah, blah, blah. I know for a while when I was like in the dating world, I kept being like, I don't want this, I don't want that. I even put it on my dating profile.
Right.
I put no introverts. Guess what? My man is the biggest introvert I've ever had in my life. And when I messaged him, and I was going to therapy too, so I was getting my head on straight and working through that at the time also. But I messaged him and I was like, hey, handsome. And he goes to my profile and to this day, he doesn't let that go. He's like, no introverts. And he goes, I said, what did you think when I messaged you?
And then you pulled him in like a magnet.
Yeah. And then he goes, I just thought it was a mistake that you, it was a mistake.
Right.
And yeah. And then,
so exactly. So if you're trying to manifest a partner in your life or a soulmate or somebody that you're going to be able to connect with and grow with and marry and whatever the case, I wouldn't write that list.
That
and
not
put anything on there that you don't want.
Yeah. Don't put like red flags on there. Be aware of your red flags, but when you're focusing on manifesting,
well, you can put it, you can put it as, instead of putting a red flag, what's the opposite of that red flag?
Green flag.
Right. What's the green flags?
He said, I know more about astrology than you do on his profile. I was like, hell yeah. And that's what happened. I read his profile and I started seeing stuff I really liked. And then that positivity got in there and that manifestation.
Yeah. So what you need to do is you need to write a list of all of the things that you do want in a partner.
Yep.
Do you want them to be super funny and make you laugh all the time? Or if that's not very important, a sense of humor, like what is important, their intelligence, or be fucking specific when you're writing these things down. Because I did that before I met my partner and he checked off every single thing, but he didn't have his own apartment. He lived with his grandmother at the time and she was elderly. And that was kind of like, oh, he's not the perfect guy for me because he doesn't even have his own place.
But you didn't put that on your list.
I did not put that on my list. And look what we've manifested. And for people that don't know, we've manifested an entire life together. He was there with his grandma, not because he had to be, but because he was such a good person. He was taking care of his grandmother, who he loved more than anything.
I'm going to cry because he is like literally one of the best people I know.
Right. And so if I would have put that down as one of the things that I didn't want, I would have overlooked this entire person that I built a life with.
Exactly.
So really go with your heart and only put the things on there that really matters, because the other things can come later. These are things you can build together.
So we're going to move on to some techniques you can do to manifest out of the box, especially if you need to start with smaller steps, if you need the practice of getting on the right mindset to actually manifest the bigger, grander things you can do.
Yeah, because nobody's saying that you can't manifest something huge. Yeah. Because you can.
You can.
We're here to tell you you can manifest anything you want to manifest.
Yeah, you can definitely manifest huge things, but it does take reprogramming of your mind. So we went over that. And then here's some techniques. So a simple glass of water. You get up in the morning, first thing, pour yourself a glass of water. It's good for you in the first place. And really hold that in your hand and pour the intention of what you want for your day. So I am going to have the best day ever, or I am going to go through today. Maybe you have like pain issues with no pain and you're manifesting that. I am going to make so much money at my work today, and then drink it. And also we talked about last episode, we were talking about charging water with moon energy, star energy, sun energy, and crystals that you can use to charge that up. So if you're manifesting, there's crystals that have to do with manifesting, or you can charge it in the sun and then drink it halfway through your day or whatever. You can amplify that manifestation with the tools around you. The other thing, and this is the first time I really heard about manifestation. Now, I had the flip from you growing up where my mom was like, visualize all the time to me. I had a really good teacher in that sense, because when we were little girls, me and my sisters, she would be like, we'd be in a parking lot and she'd literally say, visualize a good parking spot. Just visualize it and just set that in my brain. And I feel like today I'm not perfect, but I think one of the things I hear from a lot of people, you're so happy, you're so positive. And I'm like, that wasn't me. I mean, that is me now. I'm continuing that and I'm pushing that, and I have my bad days. But that was my mom doing conscious spiritual training with me. We'll have an episode about this next season when I'm young. And just because you didn't get it when you were young doesn't mean you can't learn that when you're older. Right. So visualization is a big one. And part of that is a vision board. So I watched a documentary years ago, and I don't remember the name of it, but in it, this lady was talking about a vision board. And you always hear about vision boards being like on TV with these nerdy girls that put vision boards
or
together.
Like teenagers.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Like, here's my vision board, which is perfect. You can do that at that age. But a vision board is for every age. So when you do a vision board, you basically get a board and you do a collage. And let's say you want a house. And this lady cut out pictures from magazines. This is an old documentary. And now you could just like literally virtually tour houses. But anyway, she cut them out and she stuck them on this vision board, and she needed the house so that she can get a couple cats, because she really loved cats and she lived in an apartment that didn't allow them. So she put some cats on there. And I think part of it was like that she was away from the highway or something, or she wanted the house in the certain neighborhood that was by the highway. And so she ended up getting this house, but then she came back to this lady who was teaching her how to do the vision board and manifesting. And she's like, yeah, I got the house I wanted. I even got it in the neighborhood I wanted, but it's so close to the highway. She put the highway on there. It's so close to the highway that, it's loud. There's cars coming by. And she goes, and then the house is beautiful. It's what I wanted, but it smells like cat pee so bad, because she wasn't specific enough. She wasn't specific. So she put on the pictures of the house. She put on cats. She put on highway, but that energy got sent out there weird because you really need to be specific. And that's when writing and journaling comes in handy. So what you need to do, write it as if it's already yours. You journal about it. Like what Sahdi was saying, when you're making a list, be very specific of all the things you want. If you're looking for a house, list everything you want. I want a yard big enough for a garden. I want it in this price range. Be so specific. And the more you read that list, the more you're putting that energy out there.
And then even like take it a step farther and like close your eyes and imagine yourself inside of the house and how you're going to decorate it.
Yes.
And where the windows are going to be and how the flowers smell in the garden, to be able to feel it emotionally too, because there has to be an emotional connection to it.
Yeah. A lot of people are really scared to get their hopes up. They're like, I don't want to get my hopes.
That's a big one.
No, get your hopes up.
Get your hopes up. And that's something that we have. That's another thing that we've had instilled in us. It's like, you don't want to get your hopes up.
I struggle with that. Yep.
And then it's like, okay, so what? You got excited for something and it didn't happen. What if you got excited for it and it fucking did happen?
Or what if it doesn't happen? And then the universe brings something better into your life because you put that positive energy out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, get excited.
Get excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't feel stupid about getting excited that's for something that's not here yet. Why? Because you're afraid of maybe being let down if it doesn't happen. But in that moment, being excited and happy for something is raising your vibration in itself.
Yeah. And you're
so it
sending
can't do
that.
any harm.
Exactly.
Right. It's not going to hurt anything for you to get excited.
And if you get let down, what are you going to do? Cry for a minute?
Yeah.
Are you going to melt into a puddle? You're fine.
But if it's that big of a deal and you don't get it, you're going to cry anyway.
Yeah. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you're okay. And just have that faith that, okay, you know what? I didn't get that, but that's because the universe has something better
for me.
Exactly.
And it is about faith. Because we can look and science can prove it in certain ways that manifestation works.
Yes.
But it's never really 1,000% like, this is facts.
Yeah.
That you do this and this will happen.
You won't know until you do it. And actually me and Sahdi, so we did a episode on lucid dreaming. And we did a 30-day challenge using the techniques we talked about in the episode. And it was very successful. It was successful for the both of us. It was successful for one of my kids. It was successful to a couple of my friends that tried it, that came back and talked to me about it. Even a stranger came back and talked to me about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a manifestation challenge, and we'll do it over our off season. So next season when we come back, we'll come back and talk about it.
Yeah, we'll let you know what we manifested.
Exactly. And you can't go about it with skepticism. You really have to believe it. So if you really can't believe in yourself and the big things, start with the small things.
Right, exactly.
Visualization is my next thing. So when I used to do stand-up comedy for a while, and this lady was telling me about somebody she knew that she's friends with that apparently was big in the comedy world. Can't remember their name. Apparently they'd gotten big. And I was saying, you know, there is anxiety when you're on stage. I've been on stage doing theater and stuff, but like there is anxiety on stage. Like I'm going to forget my jokes. So I just practice and try to practice in front of people I know. That's how I knew about auditioning and stuff and getting rid of those nerves. And she's like, well, my friend, what they would do, and she was not talking about manifestation, but this is 100% what it was, is what they would do is cut out people from magazines and they would tape them to the mirror at their boudoir, wherever they got ready in the morning. And every morning they would sit down and they would visualize all those people that are taped to the mirror as audience members, and they would tell their jokes. And she said every time they did that, they went out to their show and just killed it and got all the laughs, and they would envision what the laughter would sound like to their jokes. And I'm just like, that's such a great idea. That's such a great technique to get rid of the nerves. And now looking back, I'm like, that's manifestation. Why?
Exactly. Speaking of people, have you heard of Jim Carrey and what he did with that $10 million check?
First of all, I love Jim Carrey, but no, I did not. I have not heard this.
Okay, so he was on Oprah and he was talking about it. So before he became rich and famous, successful, he was a struggling actor.
Yeah.
He had a real job making shit money. And it was on Thanksgiving one year, and he used to like to go out to this lookout. And he would just sit in his car and he would imagine the things that he wanted for his life. He would imagine directors calling him and movies coming his way and things like that. And he would just sit by himself and do that and manifest and just play it over and over in his head about what he was going to achieve within his life.
Yeah.
One Thanksgiving, he went down and he wrote a check to himself for $10 million. And he put for acting services. And he dated it 3 years in the future.
Yeah.
So he dated it for 1995. Well, right before Thanksgiving in 1995, he got offered the deal for $10 million to do Dumb and Dumber.
Ah!
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Almost to the day.
That's
right before
amazing
Thanksgiving. And he kept that check in his wallet. And he carried it with him every single day.
That makes
and it was
so
like
much
worn
sense.
and tattered. And he ended up burying it with his father.
Really?
Yeah. When his dad passed away, he ended up burying it with him.
That makes so much sense because he is woke as fuck. He is. If you've seen his interviews and stuff, how he talks, we're not. This isn't reality. Like, and he sounds crazy, but he's not.
No, he's not.
That's amazing.
Well, that's what happens when you get so woke and so enlightened that people just can't even with you.
Yeah.
Like they can't comprehend what you're talking about.
Because you're like, this is a video game. You're calling out the video game during the you're breaking that fourth wall.
Exactly.
Deadpool.
But yeah, like that is how you do it.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying earlier. Like nobody's saying that you can't just go for $10 million.
Yeah.
Go for $1 billion if you want to. But sometimes it's easier to break it down in manageable little steps. And
Especially if
start
you
there.
haven't practiced.
If you're in the stages of
reprogramming.
right?
Yeah. I mean, your mind at the time,
Right.
then start small and then you can get to the big steps. The other thing is though, action.
Right. Like, well, even before that, there's some people that are just like, I don't even know what I want to manifest.
Yep.
They're like, my dream seems so far off in the future that I don't even know where to start. So that's where you start.
Yeah.
Is figuring out what exactly it is that you want.
And then
asking for it. You have to ask specifically for what you want. You can't just go, I want to be happy. I'm never happy. Like my whole life sucks and I just want to be happy. Okay, you need to be more specific with that. You need to give the universe like exact instructions.
Yeah.
On what it is that would make you happy.
Right.
You have to sit down and think about it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what's going to make you happy, the universe doesn't know what's going to make you happy.
Because if you're just saying, I just want to be happy, then you're really just saying I'm sad.
So you have to sit there and you really have to do like a self-inventory. And you have to think about it. Okay, what would make me happy right now? What can I find peace in that would make me feel good?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that?
Well, what's the thing?
Then ask for it.
I wrote down, I put, a dream is an idea broken down into goals is a plan. Putting action into that plan makes dreams come true. So let me just say, sidestep into this. So me and Sahdi have been very led in the last episodes during this season, very led spiritually to them. And this one, she was led to, like, we need to do an episode on manifestation. And I'm like, okay. And it's a great idea. And so I'm like, okay. But I didn't feel that channeling from my spirit guides. I didn't feel the guidance until I literally sat down today to put all my notes together. And I started writing and I was on fire. Like I was pulling stuff from different episodes that we've done because it really all correlates. It all ties together. And then that came out. I literally just scribbled, like my notes are like chicken scratch, but I pulled that out and it's perfect because you just said that and you don't know what's in front of me. And then that right there, break it down. Think about your plan. Like, okay, I have a dream and here's the steps I will have to take to get to that dream. Like if you want that promotion and you want to manifest that promotion, maybe break it down even more to be like, what would I have to do to get that promotion? What goals would I have to meet to make that promotion? And then you're breaking it down into steps.
Right.
Manifest those. Write them down.
Exactly.